According to Statista.com, in 2023, the average price for a holiday dinner is $61.17. This dinner includes turkey, stuffing, potatoes, rolls with butter, vegetables, cranberry, pie with toppings, and beverages of coffee and milk, all in quantity sufficient to serve a family of 10. But our goal is to support families of any size. Or, if you would like, look on your local community pages on social media. Find a family that needs your care and support. Verify your donation by asking for an email with a receipt showing your $20 of work. Family caring and support is what this season is all about. Hello, everybody. It is Monday afternoon. It is time for Footprints Forward. As you can see right at this moment, I'm being joined by the goddess of the grape, Stephanie Simos. How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing good. How are you? I'm happy to be back and be here tonight.
Yeah. You ran into a little bit of problem with getting from one place to another, doctor's appointments, all that other fun stuff that you got to deal with as a mom figure, right?
Traffic this time of year,
Yeah. That is one of the things about holidays that does, in which that's what our main focus is this week, is the holiday blues. And I think that right there, traffic alone is one of the things that drive people insane. And it's one of those things that other people's driving is not one of my favorite things to discuss to begin with. But when you're already in a hyper tense mood,
yeah,
and the littlest thing can really take and turn your day. I know one of the things I always tell people, and see, I'm not a coffee drinker, but being a biker, one of the things that always scared me, and I truly believe this, people and coffee kiosks, they are almost as dangerous as people who drink and drive, because they will switch double lanes to turn in front of you. They've got to get that caffeine fix, and people are insane around them. Have you ever noticed that?
We have a Dunkin' Donuts location up here that I've seen that. The location isn't great though, so I will say that first, that the road that it's on is not the greatest. But yes, I've witnessed that. And I am a coffee drinker, but mainly coffee at home. So we drink too much of it to be making stops places.
Yeah, well, and everything I know about coffee, I can't believe that you would take and go to a kiosk anywhere where you can't go to the bathroom. Anything I do know about, coffee drinkers, they're always peeing. So, but we did, this is our last show of the month. This is the last show on the PAC channel, the last live show of the year, as a matter of fact. So we're taking a somewhat well-deserved couple weeks off and getting ready for launching some really wonderful stuff next year. And bringing everything back a little bit stronger and a little bit better. And we ask you to please contact us. Footprints at communitypayitforward.us. Once again, that's footprints at communitypayitforward.us. If you have any suggestions, or if you have anybody that you would like us to talk to, if you have any specific subjects that you would like us to touch on. Look, this is a show about trying to help other people. We're here to listen. We're here to do everything that we can do to help someone in a difficult situation. So please, footprints at communitypayitforward.us. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Give us some suggestions, and let's see if we can come up with some guests and help you out. So, Stephanie, what are some of the biggest hassles and you're out east, so life is just a little bit more chaotic there anyway, than it is here in Colorado. But what are some of the things that are really stressful to a mom with 5 kids in your area? What are some of the things that just make you kind of go, oh, what am I doing?
This time of year? Yeah, well, I already said I was a coffee drinker. Now everybody knows why. 5 kids.
Yeah.
Mom fuel, right? I think this
Or that's the wine behind you, that's
yeah, from coffee to wine, right? I think this time of year gets stressful for people, but what I've noticed, I think more recently, is that all those things that families are like accustomed to buying have gone up tremendously. And I'm seeing a lot locally and on our local pages on social media and things that families are really in a tough situation, to provide what they normally do this holiday season for their kids. It's been daily this past week, daily, mom with 2 kids, mom with 3 kids, 4 kids, and just grasping at straws to really find a way to make, the holiday season the same way for their children as they have in the past. I think that that's something that's extremely stressful for families right now, because I know for us, we don't do a whole lot outside of this time of year, but this time of year is when we really like to spoil the kids,
Yep.
And we're not the family that, goes to the store and comes home with a toy just on a random Tuesday. That's not us. Like, this is really the only time of year. So I think that similarly, other families probably feel the same with their traditions and the things that they do, and finding it harder to be able to do those things just because, the grocery store bill has increased tremendously. The gas prices have increased. I was talking to my neighbor who also cooks a lot at home, and she's sharing, she went to a big box store like a Sam's Club, a Costco, and she was like, it went up by dollars, Steph, not 25 cents, dollars. And, she's retired. She's on a fixed income. And this is somebody speaking out of like panic, oh my gosh, how am I going to do the holiday like I normally do, even just with food on the table? So when it comes to stress, outside of just the holiday craze of getting everything done, I think even more so this year, specifically, the rise in the prices of things have just really hit home to families that are trying to just put food on their table.
Yeah, and I really want to caution people here, and I'm not going to get too deep into politics right now, because that's not what this show is about. But I know that the economy has a lot to do with what's going on. People need to remember, we just took a nationwide vote to increase minimum wage just a couple years ago, to where minimum wage took a giant jump. And everybody wants to sit there and blame the politicians for it being where it's at and all this other stuff. But you know what? We kind of shot ourselves in the foot there too, by the increasing the minimum wage. The one thing that I think a lot of people forget, that money's got to come from somewhere. It's not going to come just because, okay, I'm going to take, the owners of these stores aren't going to take a cut because they got to pay more. That's not going to happen, So While, yes, politicians are evil, we all know this, okay? Every politician is wackadoo. Yes, but the truth is that everything that we do, we've really got to pay attention to stuff like that. Where, yeah, you know what? I work at Walmart, and now I make more money. Hey, that's great. But that also means that you have to expect to pay more.
Right.
So, these are just kind of the things that we really have to ask people to watch out for, because now people who are unemployed, um, because they lost their job because of minimum wages rising. We went to Taco Bell a couple months ago, and they don't have anybody up front anymore. You have to order through the kiosk or through the app. And that's because they're downsizing. You have to order through the app, or you don't, you know, because there's nobody to take your order. Now, there's going to be somebody to come up and grab the cash if you only have cash. But I mean, we're seeing a lot of this stuff that is, and this is, this has a lot to do with decisions that we've made. It also has to do with, there are a lot of people in this country who just are not ready to go back to work since the pandemic. There are a lot of people who have found a nice comfort level at home, and quite honestly, they've gotten away with it so far. And it's not. I'm not here to say good thing, bad thing. Well, I guess I am, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to get out that far. But I mean, I know that right now people are really freaking out because of the prices. But we need to remember that this isn't just one person's fault. And that, I think, price is one of the pain points from holidays past. It's always been a problem. From back in our parents' days, back in our grandparents' days. My mom loves telling the story how every year the gift was dinner, a nice family dinner. That was the gift. That's what it was. Um, I did a little bit of study here, and it does talk about the commercialization of the holiday, and how that is really hurt. And boy, you and I could probably tell stories and about how. I mean, let's look at some of the crazy toys that people get into fist fights over. It's like, oh my god. By the way, my sons have never got one of those toys. If I've got to fight someone for it, my kid ain't getting that toy. So,
I mean, people are camping out in front of stores in the cold, hours before the store opens just to get those items. It's wild, but I guess that's part of the holiday craze, right?
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned big box stores a few times, like Walmart and things, and I think that it's important for people to try to support those smaller businesses too, locally, if they can.
Yes.
I mentioned food. Maybe you have an indoor farmers market. I know they're lessening this time of year because the weather is getting cold and everything, but maybe there is somebody local to you that has some kind of farmers market or provides things, and you're impacting a family directly with shopping with them versus those bigger stores. So think about that too, even when shopping this holiday season.
Yeah. And generally their prices aren't going to alter near as much as you're going to get at one of the bigger stores, because they still have to pay the fuel prices, they still have to pay everything else, but it's their store, it's their market, whatever it is. So you're right. Woodworkers, I mean, I love this time of year because of the woodwork that comes out. Yeah. I love seeing all these nice crafts and things like that. That is honestly one of my favorite things about Christmas, is seeing some of the cool looking woodwork that comes out, but I was an artist in high school. I can't draw a stick figure now, but I was an artist in high school. But it's really, I love your suggestion. I think that is so perfect. Instead of going and buying this, go back to some of the really cool yesteryear, even, like for some of these kids that, let's be honest, a lot of these kids don't respect the toy anyway anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's true. I mean, our local farm that we've always shopped with, they never changed the egg prices on us. I remember a friend from out of state calling me and said, "Can you believe how much the eggs are in the store?" I was like, "I haven't bought eggs in a store in years." And they never changed the prices on us, you know? So think local. You might be surprised with, the value you're getting to. And you're
I
helping somebody directly that probably needs to put food on their own table this holiday season. So it's all around like a really good thing.
and I think that right there, again, I think that is such a beautiful point, that you're right. You're dealing with a family. You're not dealing with a conglomerate. You're dealing with somebody who actually has an input in your local economy, and when they do better, you do better.
Right.
I mean, if we start losing all of our farmers and our small businesses, that those are stores that the city shuts down. There's no more city. There's no more town. If all the smaller businesses get shut out, there then you're in trouble of dying down. There is no such thing as a small town where the only stores there are Walmart, Albertsons, King Super, Safeway, and Best Buy. There's always going to be like smaller mom and pop towns,
Yeah.
because those bigger stores don't have anything to do with those small towns where that would be all there is to them. So,
Right.
that's, I do love that point. And you can always contact the local, um oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Directories, local directories for all your small businesses. They're all over the place. Your chamber of commerces, go to them, check out the people that are there, check out local. That is, what a great idea. What a
And
great
it's
idea.
great. Social media gives you so much access to see what there is local. I mean, I'll use this as an example. I was looking for something outdoors to do that was festive for my kiddos, and just with the simple search on social media, so many things popped up, and we were able to find something that not only was free, and there were opportunities to make donations to causes that put it together, but it was something that was great. And it ended up being a really beautiful sunny day in the low 50s here in Pennsylvania, the day that they put it together. So quick search on social media and you can find those businesses. Join your local pages, and they're usually advertising on there.
One of the things that I know we've been a part of is like women's groups and stuff like that. They'll also have like craft sales and stuff like this around now, to where you can take and celebrate the women in your community, and the women business owners and stuff like that. And you get to go in there and have a lot of fun that way as well. And it's just, again, it's a great way to get to know the people that are in your community. It's much less expensive, and let's be honest, the people are a hell of a lot nicer than, and getting a good answer about a product, getting a knowledgeable answer about a product, that's always so nice. Because when you're sitting there and you're talking to some kid, at one of these stores that doesn't have a clue on what you're talking about, and I'm getting old, so kids don't understand what I'm saying anyway. I go up there and I'm trying to explain something, I don't even know what the hell it's called. So I mean, me sitting there stammering all of a sudden, all about it, and they're sitting there looking at me like going, I don't know what you're talking about. What's one of them there thingies that you plug into that thingy there, and they're a plug. Oh, whatever you kids call it nowadays, But anyway, the holidays are usually viewed as a time of happiness and rejoicing, but for some people, it can be a period of, and these are the main things that they call for the holiday blues: painful reflection. That's what you and I were talking about a little bit prior to the show. Sadness, loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Those are the main ones that they list here. You made mention that you lost somebody right prior to a holiday, and that that's something that it's hard to not think about that at times. That's an anniversary that you're going to think about if it happens on June 6th, when it happens right before the holidays. That brings a new level of awareness to the situation.
Yeah. Well, you had asked me, if this should be classified, and you know, I gave you my honest off the top of my
Yeah.
head with that question kind of feedback, and that initially came to mind for me. My grandfather struggled with cancer for so many years. He battled it for so long, and it was just time. And he actually it was just after Christmas, but um he decided he was going to stop taking his chemo because he wanted to like have his last supper for Christmas and actually be able to taste it and like really enjoy the holiday with everybody. And that's what he did, and it wasn't long after that, but he was so happy to be able to feel better and be able to taste his food, because a meal, Italian family, a meal was like the most important thing, you know? So yes, it brings back that. And I think it brings things up for different people. So when you had asked, like, should it be classified as that, as like a diagnosis, right? I think that everybody's feelings around it might be different. It could be somebody gets depressed because they don't have the finances to do for their kids this year. It could be, that somebody is grieving a loved one that's no longer with them. It could be, there are so many, I feel like, subcategories under that of an umbrella that it could be under, that it's kind of hard to pinpoint and say, well, this is what you have, is the holiday blues, when really people experience these things throughout the year too. But I think it's just hypersensitive this time of year because of the chaos around it and the commercialization and just society's expectations too of what you should be doing, when really I think that should be your choice as a family with what you're doing.
Right. And expectations is one of the main reasons for a lot of the depression, they say. I know that when it comes to this list, uh, loneliness is one that is really, I've experienced the loneliness to where I had a, a large amount of family around me, but my son was moved to Kansas, and I had to celebrate a holiday that I associate with children. And I had to associate that knowing that my son wasn't here, and something that I used to look forward to and was so deeply, deeply involved with because of him. All of a sudden he was gone. I didn't want to celebrate. I didn't want to be around people. Um, which is one of the worst things that you can do. But I wanted nothing to do with it. It was like, you know what? If I can't, the whole, well, if I can't have him, well, I don't want nothing to do with it. I mean, this doesn't mean anything to me.
I think you bring up a really good point, Zach, because I think that your traditions around the holiday feel and look a certain way to you. And they probably feel and look a certain way to different families too, based on their traditions and what they're used to doing. And I agree with you. I think that this time of year is for the kids. That's how we look at it too. That's how it always was when we were growing up. And I think that that's the stress that's being put on adults now this time of year, but even more so because a lot of people are struggling to make ends meet with just the bare necessities that they have to purchase anyway, So that's kind of what comes to mind when you say that. And I hope it's an easier holiday season for you this year.
Oh, it is. It is. It's actually, he once again, right before we were talking, he's even further away than Kansas now. He's over in Japan now, but he and I, we talk a couple times a week. We, even if it's take a picture of something stupid and send it to each other. Now that he's about 30, Stephanie, my boy's about 30. God, I don't know when the hell I got that old, but he's about 30. And so we talk all the time now, and it became a lot easier for me because, well, when he left, I was 22. I didn't have, I wish I knew half of what I knew when I was 22. Okay. The only thing I know now is at 22, I was an idiot. But the truth is that figuring it out along the way, I realized that, he's not gone. And that's a hard thing to remember, because you're right. When it's tradition, when you look around and everyone else has their kids, everyone else is happy, and you're sitting there going, you got that bite in the back of your neck, in the back of your throat. It's really hard to deal with something like that. And that goes with the loss. And that goes with, obviously divorce and parents. But, when my baby boy moved out of the house the first time and he told us that he was going with his girlfriend out of town, I was like, you're what? No, you're not. This is Christmas. I don't care if you moved out. I'm dad. You're going to listen to me. And I learned the hard lesson there. No, he's not. But but it is, there are so many, and it's a very, I understand loneliness on this list a lot more than I understand anything else, because I know that feeling of, you're wanting the family there and having even one person missing. It's devastating. So one of the others, and we've brought it up, is anxiety.
I'm taking a deep breath as you're saying that, Zach.
Yeah.
Because I know I am not on track with where I need to be on the 11th of December.
Oh, I'm nowhere near. But I think with the prices, I think coming out of the pandemic, I think all of the things that we've went through, and including the year and a half of no longer being able to be with people because, things were a little askew. Mm-hmm. I think us rushing back together a lot of times, that creates anxiety on itself.
Yeah, it definitely could. And I think it definitely could with feelings around, who's got elderly parents and things like that too.
Yep.
And just being considerate of people's feelings, along with transitioning back to what the norm looks like now, for you.
And this is definitely not the time of the year to make your opinions more important than the family, and that's really the way it is. You know what? If you're going to somebody's house, if you're going to be breaking bread at someone's house, it's their home. If they're asking you to stay away, if you've got the sniffles, stay the hell away. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. In the long and short of it, it's a bigger deal if you make it a bigger deal. If you just say, hey, you know what? I was running a little bit of a sore throat and things were a little, off. I'd much rather somebody tell me that than say, you know what, I decided to risk it, and now everyone at the house has something. And I just say this after getting over COVID at a funeral. I caught COVID at a funeral. And, look, deniers be deniers, if you will. But the fact is that, COVID's not the worst thing I've ever had, but it's not the funnest thing I've ever done either. But I'm still relatively, okay, I'm not going to say young. I'm not going to say young at all.
Stop it, Zach.
I'm relatively not ancient, healthier guy, even though I'm a klutz. So, I could take care of it, but I mean, it does still hurt people, and especially like you said, older people. And
Elderly people who are immune compromised and stuff. Just be considerate of
yep,
other people. Everybody has their own views on what they're willing to risk for their own self and their family, and that's it.
and
So
it's their right.
right.
So, yeah,
I know you were quite under the weather, Zach, so I'm glad you're feeling better because you got hit back to back there with a
oh
couple of
gosh.
things.
Well, yeah, as soon as I got done with COVID, I passed the stone. And the next thing I know, it was the revenge of the turkey because I ended up with the bird flu. And it was 1 week ago today. And I don't know who noticed how bad I was during that show. But as soon as I turned the cameras off on that show, my head hit the keyboard because I was severe fever and just, oh my God, I felt so bad. I went up and I went to bed, and I couldn't. And the next day, I had appointments, Steph. I mean, my appointment book was from top to bottom, and I had to cancel every appointment last Tuesday. And it was just, it was hellish. So, by the way, I went out and bought a ham. So, that for Christmas, because I learned my lesson about the turkey. That bird flu is no damn joke. I'm not going to deal with it again. So, but
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad you're better. But that just goes to show you that look, a young guy like Zach under the weather like that, just be considerate with your family over the holidays.
yeah,
Don't want to add any additional stress or anything to people when it is a stressful time of year already.
it is. It is. And the one thing that Stephanie was talking about is the holiday blues is not recognized as a psychiatric condition in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. The manual used by clinics to diagnose mental health decisions. You and I did have a great conversation about this, and I think that you've got a great point. That I don't think we have to diagnose everything, but my question to you was, and I think you got it right. I don't think we need to diagnose it. I really don't. But what was your thought on we've opened Pandora's box and we've been diagnosing everything. Everything is different. Where my age, that kid that's sitting over in the corner screaming his bloody head off, he was a brat. Now there's ADD, and autism and all these other things. Before he was just a royal pain in the ass.
Right.
We've
Right.
got better, we've got better diagnoses on things. We've got stuff like this. So we don't diagnose it, but what do we do with it? Because it is something that happens every year and it's not new.
I think it's the time of year. And I think that the things that people are experiencing heightened in this time of year already have those categories somewhere with mental health. Do I think that we could do a better job supporting those people and getting them better help, and just our mental health system in general could just be better with support? Absolutely. But I do think that those subcategories, like what we were kind of talking about, are categories already, but maybe we can make sure the mental health professionals are aware that, like, during this time of year, it's heightened by X%, right? You probably have the statistics in front of you, Zach, because I know you're a stats guy, but
I actually do right here. National Alliance on Mental Illness. 64% of people with existing mental illnesses report it makes their conditions worse. So 64% of those people.
and I could believe that for sure.
Yeah.
I think those conditions are still those conditions, but just enhanced because of the pressures from society, the pressures of having to get things done on time, the pressures of finances, and all these things that are just, in this short amount of time, everybody has to get all these things done. And it's like, ah! Slow
Yeah.
down. So that's kind of my thought on it, is not everything needs a title to it. I feel like a lot of times those titles coincide with medications, and you kind of know how I feel about that. Is it always necessary? Sometimes it is, but that's a big business. Let's support small businesses.
And maybe it's not medications people should be looking at. One of the things that they can do is exactly what you suggested. Go to your farmer's market. Maybe it's the food that you're feeding them, that could just a change in your diet, change in where you're getting the foods from.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge proponent of that.
Oh yeah,
Zach. So I could go down a long rabbit hole with this topic, but I truly believe in that. If you're experiencing any kind of symptoms, medical symptoms at all, mental health, medical, everything, I think diet can't hurt anyone to improve. And that's how I felt going into it with my own children when we were experiencing, a medical condition. I said, if we just make the diet better, it's never going to hurt anything, right? And we were never a family of fast food kids ever, but we knew that focusing on diet more couldn't hurt. So why not do that? And
I'm going to say this, the year and a half that we've been together, that you and I have been working together, I have not seen you sick. There was only one medical condition I've seen you with, and that definitely didn't come from the diet, unless, of course, you made one hell of a meal that night, and that led up to it.
I was quite sick during pregnancy, but
it
was not
other than pregnancy, yeah. But I mean, really, your diet, I think that you've got it, and I think you're living proof that. Sorry about that. That was a little rude, but it was funny. But I think that you are living proof that if you change your diet, you can live a healthier life. And I love and respect you for it. And by the way, how's the homestead coming? Did you ship Paul back out, or is he still around the house?
No, he's working here, and I think we're probably not going back because now it's winter and the lines and everything are above ground, so there's no water in the winter time. So I think we're holding tight until we head out there in the spring is what I'm thinking right now. Maybe he might make a trip and bring house stuff down and make that a quick loop around and come back. But no, he's here just trying to wrap up like commitments to clients and things like that right now. So he's here. But I mean, our lifestyle is the focus, and moving into that kind of lifestyle with the homestead and stuff kind of was a thought 13 years ago that's progressed since then. And we feel is even more important now, medical stuff with the kids and stuff. There are small things that you can do, right, to improve diet. And we've taken next month, it'll be 8 years since my son's first flare. So it's been a long time, and we didn't do a dramatic change overnight, but steps, and like let everybody adjust to that step and then another step, and people have known me a long time. They're probably watching like, what the heck? She's baking bread. Well, we stopped buying bread at the store. Why? I can just quickly whip it up if they need something, right? I'm here with them. My kids are doing cyber school. I can quickly throw something together. I've got sourdough starter. So I kind of went down that rabbit hole with like the stuff in the store that's on the shelf. It's got other stuff in it to preserve it, right? So if I can eliminate that a little bit, it's just flour, water, and yeast, and a little bit of salt. We're done. And that's it.
Yeah. And if you got the energy to do it, do it. And like you said, you've made the dedication to your kids to keep them there at home and keep them, to educate them there at home and help them grow from that. So I think that, that's just it's a wonderful next step to make sure that, this is just one way to make sure that your kids are growing up the way that you want them to. It's not like, the modern day thing, send your kids to school, there's an instant babysitter.
And
you're taking more of an active role.
That. Parents have to work. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
And my kids were in the public schools here up until the pandemic, actually, when everything shut down, and I knew that it was going to be that way for quite some time. I looked into a virtual setting for them with structure that had been there before the pandemic, where, with a school that knew what they were doing with cyber. So we went in that direction. And truthfully, with my son that needs a lot of support, it's been a blessing. They've been able to really help him in a way that the public school didn't have the resources. So blessing in disguise. But I know people have to work. People have to send their kids to school. Those are working hours. I'm not knocking that at all. And I'm sure somebody watching this is going, and she bakes bread. Like, that's crazy. Well, it took me 8 years to lead up to that, right? I mean, we took baby steps. We don't buy meat at the grocery store anymore. We support local farms where we know that those animals were born there, bred there, fed there. They know what they were fed and everything. They were healthy. And these people know our family and our family situation. So that, they're not going to sell us something that's sick. Things like that. Like, if once you start to think about it and break it down, you start to question things. And some of the things that are put into our food that's readily available at the grocery store just isn't really good for you. So my thought, our belief here is just if we can control like that one thing and it'll help the other things, why not? We're just going to be a little bit healthier. So yeah, I can go down a whole thing with that, but yes. So the homestead, we're hoping to be able to help other people with that, because we had to sort those things out as they came, but using that space when we do move and to be able to do more of our own of that, we're hoping to be able to help people in the community and things, and with nonprofits that we love and things that can use that support in that way too. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that's one thing that you guys can keep tabs on what's going on with the homestead by going to Stephanie's link tree. You go on there and it's got your YouTube page. It's got all kinds of different things on there. It also has your guys' other stores and so much more about you. We went over the link tree on Wednesday night, and it was actually the first time that we'd ever done that, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I was like going, we talk about your link tree all the time, but I realized we'd never opened it up. So I did on Wednesday night.
You did such a great job, Zach. I wasn't there, but you spoke on it beautifully. You knew exactly what everything was.
Well, you are such an important part of what we do, and just to let you guys know, a little unscripted plug. Anybody who has been on our show for the last year and a half, you can go to Stephanie's her link tree, and order wine and go back to support them. Go on ahead and go back and start supporting some of these great causes again. Reliving the show by going to the website or the Facebook page, which you can find right there on the link tree. Go back and check them out. Make that bottle of wine purchase really stand out and mean something. And you can still get this wine before Christmas. Order now though, because it's getting really close. So yeah, but that's one of the things that we like to do in December is just remember everyone that we've worked with, because everyone we've worked with means so much more. And if it's somebody that maybe we haven't had on the show, Stephanie's still got another giant list of people that she's helped. Everything's up for grabs. We're just asking you to take and make sure that your purchase means something to someone. And One Hope Wines is great at doing that. Hey guys, some of the signs that you need to look for on people you care about: changes in appetite or weight. People who are stressed, they can have weight gains or losses either way. They'll do nothing but sit there and eat, or they just won't eat. And it's not going to be a drastic, or it's not going to be a drawn out change. It's going to be a drastic, oh my God, look, the guy dropped 60 pounds in an hour, okay, maybe not that drastic, but it's going to be one of those things you're going to notice real quick, because they're just not going to look the same. Changes in sleep patterns, depressed, or irritable moods. Difficulty concentrating. This is a big one for me. Feelings of worthlessness or guilt. And that's where we start getting into the, am I doing everything I can for my family? Because look, we all want to buy our, we would all love to supply our significant other with the brand new Lexus in the driveway. That commercial's a lie. It doesn't happen that way. Okay. We would all like to make sure that our kids have everything that they want, but just be there for them. That's the best gift you can give anybody, is to truly be there with them. So, worthlessness or guilt are heavy, heavy feelings to overcome. But just remember, you can only do what you can do. I mean, don't try to beat yourself into being something you're not. Feeling more tired than usual. Feeling tense, worried, or anxious. Loss and pleasure in doing things you enjoy. And all of this is all the same thing that you're going to get from depression all year round. But again, this is the time of year a lot of people really get hit with this stuff. And you've really got to be careful. Suicides do increase during this time of year. Okay. Feeling sad during the winter and holiday months is also a sign of seasonal affective disorder. It's called SAD. Okay. But that is clinical right there. There is a clinical thing called SAD, SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So that to me is kind of weird, how they say that they don't have anything, but then they turn around and change a couple words and now all of a sudden it's a thing. Yeah, I just don't know what to feel about that other than
I mean, so it's kind of under that umbrella then.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of saying, and those things fall under it, it seems like, and that's just, they're calling it a seasonal disorder. So, yeah.
Well, and see, they're saying with SAD, typically it lasts about 40% of the year, which is late fall and early winter until spring or summer. So that's just people who are gloomy and doomy throughout the winter time altogether. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of, I mean, it encompasses the holidays, but it's not exactly what we're, it's not encompassing everything that we're talking about.
Right. I can definitely see the added stresses though this time of year when it comes to mental health, just overall in general. It the pressures and the pressures that people around you might sometimes put on, the pressures that the commercials are putting on people. Think about all the pressures of what everybody's supposed to be doing, right? Make those choices yourself with your family. Don't let the media and all those things and the commercials and all the things, like you said, the Lexus in the driveway. If my husband was on here with us, he would joke and tell you he's lucky to get socks for Christmas because the kids get everything. Yeah, but I would say, just take a deep breath and, get through this holiday season one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, focus on the most important things to get through, that's what I've been doing, at least, is looking at it one day at a time, because if I look at all the things I still need to do in the next few days,
Yeah. Oh, like I said, I understand. There are multiple things that are the reason why those things were caused. You've got lack of sleep, excessive eating or alcohol use, financial stress, isolation of loneliness, unrealistic expectations. Okay, those are all the reasons. Those are the big reasons for why this happens. Those are like the biggest reasons of why it happens. And this is scary to me. It isn't only just adults who are prone to seasonal sadness. Changes in routines, dealing with families and family problems, missing friends, people travel, and feeling stressed about the holidays can all contribute to feelings of sadness and depression in kids as well. That a lot of times we forget that kids can feel stressors during this time. There's people invading their space.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up, because I don't think that that's something that people often think about. But even if you're traveling to go here and there to visit and see family, that puts stress on everything, packing things up. Are you staying overnight? All these things, that's a change in their routine, change in their environment, travel time, all those things. You know how traveling makes us feel if we're traveling for a long time, exhausted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that kind of contribute. So that makes sense. That's not something I would have initially thought of, though. But great that you brought that up.
Your kids, how well do they take going to someone else's house? Do they sit there and I'm not going to ask you, if they're a pain in the butt if they when they get there, but are they kind of the kids that are going to sit there and go, God, I don't want to go back there, or are they generally all right, let's go?
I think it depends on what we're doing and who's involved, because my kids are at that preteen age now where, some things are great to do and some things are, that's so cringe, mom.
Oh.
So I think that it depends on that. But my oldest is difficult to travel with just because of some symptoms that he's still experiencing. But my others are pretty good. They're pretty good. I mean, I have a toddler now, so in going to anybody's house, well, yeah, I guess I'll say toddler. He's going to be 4 at the end of this month. I don't even know how that happened. I feel like I just had him and now whatever. So he's at that age of exploration where you really have to keep an eye on him, because he's here, he's there, he's climbing on this, and all of a sudden he's got something that he's not supposed to have. But I think, gosh, travel for us is hard since my oldest with everything. Travel for us is difficult. Even short distances, you don't want to be in the car. You'll leave my car with a headache. You'll have a migraine by the time you're done with all of them in the back seat. But when it comes to things and holiday traditions that they look forward to, they anticipate that and they get excited for certain things too. So I feel like I have to prep them, like, we're looking forward to doing this. They really like to help in the kitchen with certain traditions and stuff of things that my grandparents used to make around the holidays. So that, are we doing that this year? And there comes that pressure, right? Because my grandparents back in the day used to do lots of fish for Christmas. And with prices of things now, are we doing everything like we normally do? I'm not sure yet, so we'll have to see and pick and choose kind of what we're doing. But there are things that they like to dabble in. And I don't know if that answers your question, Zach. I feel like
it does.
But I have a wide range of kids, and not everybody has 5. So it is a bit more of a handful to kind of do things, where we usually will host and do things here.
What does the goddess grape do when she's feeling anxious? What is your cure all? And I don't want to, I guess cure all is a heavy-handed way of saying it, but what do you do for yourself when you're feeling this way?
Truthfully, because that buildup could be quick, because there's a lot of things that kind of build up fast. But I will make a list of what's priority first, and I'll just write everything down. And sometimes I'll write it in my planner on the day that I'm going to do it. So it's not just a list where I'm looking at 20 things, but it's okay, 3 things here, 4 things there. and I kind of space it out where I'm like, okay. And then it looks a little bit more manageable when you're breaking it down like that, where it's not like, oh my goodness, how am I going to find the time? Well, here's how I'm finding the time, right? Because on Thursday, I'm going to do this at 10 o'clock and then this by 1 and then this. But so just breaking it down like that, because I will start to feel anxious and then I'll start to feel like I can't breathe. So that is my, and occasionally a glass of red wine at the end of the night will also help to make sure I sleep and my mind's not racing of all the things, right? But no, that is my go-to, honestly, is time management is huge for me. I would never be able to get done with all of the things that I do in a day without that kind of breakdown, between being an entrepreneur, our local business, the kids, all the things. Have to have a way of breaking it down to make it a little bit less stressful. Well, but it's normal to feel that way. So anybody listening to this, like, you don't have to have a diagnosis like we've been talking about this episode for you to feel like, okay, now it's okay for you to feel that way. I think a lot of people experience that anxiousness and anxiety and pressures, especially around November, December timeframe.
Well, they just in this study that I was doing, they just say drink in moderation. Make sure that you're doing it. Look, drinking in moderation is just perfect. Don't isolate yourself. Exercise. Learn to say no. And I loved seeing that one. Learn to say no. Find time for yourself and set realistic expectations. I think every single thing on here is a great suggestion. And I think it's easier to stay within yourself and stay within your mindset if you just, go by a couple things. I loved just say no. Learn to say no. You cannot say yes to everything. So, but Stephanie, to you, to Paul, to the kids, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I love you guys so much, and thank you for everything you've done for Community Pay It Forward, and more important, towards me in 2023. Thank you so much, my dear.
Merry Christmas to you and yours. I'm so happy to be here, and I can't wait to continue to make an impact through your channels and through Footprints Forward.
Well, I greatly appreciate it, but you go, and it sounds like you've got a house full, so going ahead and you go take care of them. And for all of you out there, thank you. 2023 has been a very exciting year. We've started this wonderful show, and we will be back on the 8th. We've already got 3 shows lined up for next year. Yay! If you knew the headache on doing that, you'd cheer too. So, but we want to thank you so very much. And remember, please take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on others. Shop small when you can. Take care of yourself and take care of others. We're all we got. For Stephanie, for everyone who was not able to be here today, and for myself, Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and please remember to love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. Thank you very much. Have a great new year, and we'll see you next year.